For many, this person might seem like a professional flute player, but he is none other than India's science prodigy of developmental biology, scientist and director of NCBS, National Centre for Biological Sciences. Dr. Krishnaswamy VijayRaghavan. Born on February 3, 1954, he is yet another legend in the field of science, gifted to the nation by the city of Carnatic music, Chennai.
My father being in the Air Force, my mother, my father and I and my brothers went around all over the country. So there was at one level mooring in Madras, and on the other level a sense of belonging to every place in India. So I really don't feel myself as being a Tamilian, though technically I was born in Madras and I speak the language. I speak Hindi better than I do Tamil. Well, I think I was, as many young students in India, very, very lucky to have extraordinary teachers from the earliest stages. I always like to escape from studying and run away and do other things, and despite being successful in doing that, just the way in which we were taught allowed me to learn something quite well.
But who knew this school runner would turn out to be a well-known scientist in the long run?
Well, I trained as a chemical engineer at the Indian Institute of Technology at Kanpur, but my real transformation to biology came when I had a few months before I went on to a planned PhD at Zurich. I worked at the biochemistry department at the Indian Institute of Science, at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and there I chanced to read an article in their library by Obaid Siddiqui on the neurogenetics of Drosophila. And I decided, I was so inspired by that article that I decided that I must go to the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research and do my PhD there. So that really changed my career directions.
When at Tata Institute we decided to grow a Center for Biological Sciences in Bangalore, then we chose a small core of 3 people who were to be the first members of this core. And Dr. VijayRaghavan, who was then at Caltech, he was one of the members of the core, and since then he played a leading part, he and those other 4 or 5 people who had moved with him. They were the nucleus of people who developed NCBS.
Dr. K. VijayRaghavan's contributions have been phenomenal in developmental biology, genetics and neurogenetics. His research on nervous system and muscle development is majorly based on animal behavior, mainly fruit flies.
The fundamental problem which excites many neurobiologists is how does the brain work? I thought rather than try to understand the brain, could one understand how movement takes place? It might be a simpler way of attacking the complexities of the nervous system. Now, nerve circuits work in an interesting way. Across the animal, from the head to the tail, very similar kinds of circuits perform very different functions. If a circuit is in the brain, it does one kind of a thing. If it is in the thorax of the fly, it is involved in making the fly take off and fly. If it is in the leg, it teaches the fly how to walk. So context is important for very similar circuits. And that work actually allowed us to figure out how muscles are made in one segment for flight and in another segment for tissues called the haltea, which are involved in balancing the animal while flying. These kinds of rules also apply to the nervous system, and therefore we've been able to pare down the complexity of the locomotor system and indeed the brain by asking first how are regional networks made and then how these regional networks function.
His wife Usha is a professor at IISc. She is also a scientist and apparently researched her husband's attributes too.
Interactive, collaborative and team player in every sense of the word. He would also be called as an extremely generous person. He's cracks jokes and makes fun of every situation.
I remember I was in Bombay some time back riding on a scooter, and every time, because I had a UP registration on the scooter, the policeman at Colaba used to wave to me and say "Thamba Tigre," and I thought that meant good evening. So I used to wave back to him and say "Thamba Tigre," and this went on for many years.
Having a taste of humor in a person engaged in such a serious profession is really uncommon. But what about his other aspects of life?
I would undoubtedly call myself an atheist, but I do respect others having religious views. My hobbies are running. I try to do a lot of long distance running, and I also like music. I play the flute. Well, reading used to be some years ago something which I used to do linearly, one book at a time. Now with the advent of the iPad and with the Kindle on the iPad, I find that I have multiple books and I can read bits and pieces of them pretty much simultaneously, meaning I'm reading multiple books over the period of several weeks. My idea of an ideal vacation would be to go with my family to a national park and take long walks. Really like to say that I prefer theatre. Unfortunately, I haven't had the ability to get down to a theatre and watch theatre.
Instilling a young and witty touch in every aspect of life, Dr. K. VijayRaghavan has a keen insight for the young.
Come in with an open mind, look at science as an adventure. There's a lot of space to explore different ways of doing your science. Choose what you'd like to do best. Don't plan too much in detail about what you need to do to be successful in something or the other, because such kind of micromanaging is not easily predictable for success. You can't predict what trajectory you'll take, you can't predict the future. You can't predict what trajectory you'll take, you can't predict the future.